Maybe you should go and do some contemplating.
Right reasons, right reasons. Me and pretty girl for all the right reasons. Right reasons, right reasons. Me and pretty girl for all 4 seasons.
I'm the Bachelorette and I'm rapping to you poolside. Here to find true love. One man.
Don't do it. I see you wanting to start right when I have the drink of water in my mouth.
No,
but I can't do it.
I specifically don't.
If you do it while I have the water in my mouth, it'll fall all over my shorts.
No, I don't want that sonically.
We'll see. Oh, God, it's so cold.
Hi, this is Rachel McElroy.
Hi, this is Griffin McElroy. This is the quickest I've disappointed my wife on this podcast. It was negative 2 seconds before we started.
And this is Roze Buddiez.
This is a podcast in which we, 1 week from today, we'll be talking about the television show that you want us to be talking about. But until then, we're talking about Bachelor Pad Season 2, which came out in 2011. Other things that came out in 2011. Two Broke Girls. And we'll be talking about that next week.
We don't know that that's true.
I know it's true. I'm a huge 2BG fan.
What
you know me.
What are the name of the actresses in it?
Kat something and Juliana Margulies is in it. And their characters' names are Broke and Girls.
That is insulting to Juliana Margulies. I'm just going to say it.
What are you doing on your phone? You looking for apps?
I was going to look at stuff that happened in 2011. I thought it'd be fun to really set some context.
Good Wife started. Juliana Margulies was extremely busy.
Set some context for the show we're watching. This is when we killed Osama bin Laden.
In 2011?
Yeah.
Nice.
You know what also happened in 2011?
I moved to Austin and we fell in love.
Yes.
So yeah, this is our final episode in which we are talking about Bachelor Pad Season 2. We are covering 4 episodes and we're going to do it real fast. They kind of did us dirty. I thought we only had 3, but then they kind of combined the finale and the castmates tell all, and boy, howdy did we fast forward through pretty much all of that.
That's part of it. Just to really quickly sum up the last episode, all of the contestants vote on what couple they think should win. So they all have to be in the studio together, which means we're out of the mansion and we're into a live studio audience.
Right. And everybody's dishing their scoop and everybody's fighting.
Some time has passed.
And we fast forwarded through all of that. So before we get to that, we're going to finish up what's going on in the house. This is episode 4. I think there's only 6 couples left, I want to say.
Sure, I don't know.
Okay.
I'm reading your notes now, so who knows what's happening. Okay, episode 4. So we're picking up after the cliffhanger of, is Jake going home? Yes.
Oh, right, the failed
Jake
cliffhanger. Jake goes home, and so I think it's Vienna and Casey and Holly and Mike and Graham and
Michelle,
Ellen Kirk, and then who fucking
Vienna.
knows? I said them.
Oh, okay. Erica
and Blake.
Yeah,
Blake.
I don't know that they were together.
Okay,
yet.
whatever.
Anyway, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. None of this
Nobody cares.
matters. Nobody cares.
So Jake, when he's leaving, gives this speech, we've got to break up the power couples. I think you're sending the wrong guy home. And he gives some sage advice to the rest of the people.
That falls on just nobody wants to hear it. Absolutely nobody listens to what he says, basically, and follows his advice at all.
Casey at this point is feeling pretty high on himself and refers to himself as the strongest strategist.
Is that hard? He's doing the fun Will Ferrell thing where he made fun of the president. Do you remember when he used to do that?
Strategery.
I love it. Have you seen Anchorman?
Yes, I have.
I love that when they sing the song.
You know what I haven't seen, though?
Huh.
Old School.
Wow, really?
Really?
That was the first one of all of those.
I don't think I had a person to go see it with because it wasn't really for me, I don't think.
No.
I feel like it was more for men of your type.
Well, that's rude. I was 11 when that movie came out, so I don't know.
Okay, so we are going into the challenge the next morning, and it is the 2nd annual Bachelor Pad kissing contest.
We watched this over the course of the last week, and I'm still getting like flashbacks. Like, oh yeah, that did happen. Here's the thing: these episodes are an hour and a half, or I mean, they're 2 hours long, but minus commercials, they're about an hour and a half. We watched an unconscionable amount of this fucking television show, which is, I think, good, and we enjoyed it despite itself. But I mean, it was like 6 hours of television that we ended up watching this week.
Oh, you know what? That reminds me. So I was talking to Griffin last night when we finished watching the show on Mother's Day. And I was saying we should start out the show with some things we like about it, because we complain a lot.
We complain. I mean, we don't. I don't think we complain. I think we point out like it was like hyper problematic. There's a lot of very, 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 very gross stuff that happens, and so like I don't know. I feel like. That definitely tarnishes my enjoyment of Bachelor Pad Season 2. Yeah. But I will also say, like, in terms of, like, what reality shows do in getting these real moments of drama out of people and then magnifying them with, game mechanics and artifice and shit like that. Like, Bachelor Pad, specifically this season, because we also watched Season 3, does that in, like, a really profound way. All of the shit with Mike and Holly and Blake is unbelievable, and I can't believe we saw this shit unfold on a television show, and I haven't seen anything quite like it.
Here's something I like about it.
Okay.
And it's true of this season of Amazing Race, and it's true of Are You the One, in that people that don't know each other very well are having to figure out kind of a team strategy and navigate kind of dynamics between themselves and the people they want to win over. And I don't know, it's just interesting.
It's good, yeah. I wish there was more. I mean, there's no game, there's no like survivor level strategy happening this entire fucking season. It never comes together.
What about Michelle and Graham, though?
Michelle and Graham are on some next level shit. I'm talking about the actual like votes and stuff like that. Like, nobody ever goes for the power couples. Nobody ever like. It is clown shoes how bad they all are at this. And I wish there was like a little bit more of that. I think there's more of that in season 3, definitely.
Yeah.
Than there is in season 2. But at the same time, like, yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, it is cool to watch these people kind of come together and like figure out how to stay alive.
Yeah. Well, also like kind of dealing with a lot of personal stuff, usually having their own motivations for why they want the money.
I enjoyed watching it. Like, we've watched
it's like an Edward Albee play.
Oh my God. We've watched a lot of stuff in this break that I have not enjoyed watching. And this, like, although it made me cringe at many, many points.
Yes.
I think during one of these episodes, and I'll have to remember what actually happened during the show, I actually burrowed my head in between two big pillows.
We'll get there.
Okay.
So, kissing contest.
But let me start off by saying this fucking sucks.
Yeah, this is awful. So, much like the challenge where people are blindfolded and they threw eggs, this is another challenge. Sorry, that's like a little eyes wide shut.
No, I mean, just this sentence. It's a lot like the challenge where they blindfolded each other and threw eggs at each other. The following week, they did a challenge where they blindfolded each other and kissed each other.
Yeah.
Fire and ice, baby, hot and cold. That's how they play you.
The women are supposed to kiss the men, and the men are supposed to kiss the women. Whatever. And then they vote on who they think the best kisser is. And the best kisser gets a rose.
So something weird happens where Casey says, I'm out. I'm not going to participate. It was so fucking funny. Chris Harrison walked in and said, everybody, it's time for our favorite challenge. We heard from what we did it last season, and everybody was a big fan. And so I'm excited to announce we're about to do the second annual kissing competition. And dead fucking silence. Yeah. Like, nobody was stoked, of course.
Yeah.
Casey immediately says, like, well, I'm not going to participate. My girlfriend's right there. I'm not going to do it. But Michelle does, and actually does back out. Michelle says, I've got to.
Yeah, she says, I have a 9-year-old daughter. I don't want her to see me on television kissing all these men.
Ella says, I've got a child, and I'm going to kiss some fucking men, and I'm going to get that rose, and I'm going to stay safe and bring that money home.
Yeah.
Casey does participate, though, so I don't know. He didn't follow through on his
yeah, I mean,
demand.
Casey and Vienna, they are hungry, like they are hungry players. So as uncomfortable as it might make them, they will kiss some faces.
They'll kiss some faces.
The other discomfort comes from Michael and Holly, because what happens is, for example, in the case of Holly came out, stood blindfolded. all the men stand in a line, and then one at a time they step forward and kiss her in front of all the other men. So most of the dudes pretty uncomfortable about kissing Michael's ex-fiancée that he's still in love with in front of him. So
And so they do just little pecks.
yeah, so there's lots of pecks until we get to Blake, who's like, I want to kiss Holly.
Holly wanted Blake wanted some fucking French toast, and he got in there, and Holly in the scenes, it was like Michael kissed her, and then in the behind the scenes interview, she was like, I could tell it was Michael. You know, I've kissed those lips so many times, and it was nice. And then Blake did it, and she was like, hot fucking damn, holy shit, Blake.
Blake does that with all the women. Like Blake just goes for it. With all the women because he is in it to win it.
And Blake wins. Blake wins for
Blake
best kisser for boys.
wins.
Ella has a little like bit
Yes.
where she says like, what I do is I just fucking like, it's all about the push and release. And so I get my face in there, I push my face in their face and kiss them and pull back a little bit, make them want it. And then I go right. And it seemed like it looked rough. It looked rough.
You know what? It was fascinating to me because she had such an established technique, like going in. She's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I put in a little bit of pressure and then I pull back and then a little bit of pressure. And I mean, whatever it is, it worked because she won.
She won, but it looked fearsome. It looked devastating. Other stuff is everybody said Casey has bad breath. All right. And
Yeah.
it was hard to watch.
Yeah,
This
it
was
was hard
probably
to
one where I
watch.
was pillowed out. I put on my special pillow glasses.
And there are more pillow moments. Don't act like this is the only one.
No.
So Ella and Blake each get a rose and get to take somebody on a date. Ella decides to take Kirk, and they get to get in a sports car. And Will is very jealous about the sports car. And then I had to ask myself, who is Will?
Sorry, Will.
Who is Will?
Well, it keeps happening, bud. Who was Will's partner? Or I guess
I don't
maybe he didn't.
know.
Oh, shit.
I don't know who
Sorry,
his partner
Will.
was. He was the chase of this.
Here's the
season.
problem. This show loves to focus in on a person or two, and this time it had like 5 or 6 people to like focus on, like a few like interesting storylines to really hone in on, and so it was brutal. If you were not in that collective, you were fucking dead meat. You were on the
That's
cutting room floor.
100%. Yeah. So they go on a little trip together, have some pizza and wine, and they get in a hot air balloon.
At night. This is weird. I don't know that I've ever seen a hot air balloon
It looks
used at
pretty.
night. I guess.
With the flames going up in the balloon.
Can I tell you something?
Yes.
You will never catch me up in a fucking hot air balloon.
No?
No, dude.
I mean, it's dangerous for sure.
It's a big backpack, and they put it in. You know what it's made out of? Cloth. And then they're like, you know what'd be cool to put next to the cloth? Big fire. Do you want to be 200 feet up next to this big fire in the cloth?
Yeah. Well, and also, you know what I learned? This is such a downer. I don't know why I'm talking about this, but I learned that the operators don't have to have any kind of special license.
Righteous, radical.
So if you like get in a hot air balloon with somebody, they may or may not be able to actually
You need like
pilot it.
10,000 hours to fly the machine that you press the like go button and you pull a lever and then it goes to Detroit or
You
Cleveland
need like
or whatever.
10,000 hours to do somebody's nails. Like, what's the deal here?
But the fire bag that you get up in a basket like you do for picnics, go on up, do it, take it to the fair. It's fine. If you're a pilot and you listen to this, I'm just kidding. I know it's extremely hard to fly a plane.
So here we
Do you
find
think I could be a good pilot?
a good pilot.
You don't have to say it good to do it. Do you think I'd be a good pilot? I think I'd have fun up there in the clouds.
I would.
I could
really-
see myself getting like 60 years old and full-blown Harrison Fording out. By which I mean flying a plane and not crashing it like you did one time. Do you think I'd be a good pilot?
Griffin.
Do you think I would? You're not answering.
I mean, yes, I think that you have the dexterity and the hand-eye coordination.
Do I have the courage, the bravery?
From what I understand, you have to have exceptionally good vision, which might be a problem for you.
Shoot. I mean, that's what I got these spectacles for.
Maybe I'm thinking of the Air Force, though.
I think you're thinking of that scene in Men in Black where Will Smith tries to join NASA, but they won't let him. You remember?
No.
It wasn't Men in Black. It was Independence Day. That was a test, and we both failed. Both the tester and the question asker failed the test.
I believed it.
What happened next on the Bachelor Pad 2?
Okay. So here we find out more about Ella's ambitions for the money. She tells Kirk specifically that she wants to buy a house and that she also wants to help battered women because she, as a child, actually saw her mom killed by her stepdad.
Yeah, I think she talked about this in her
season.
in her intro. Well, she also talked about it in like her intro reel thing at the beginning of this season. It's really horrible. And Ella's really like great as far as we can tell. Like we didn't get to spend a whole lot of time with her this season. But she was like one of the only people in the house that I kind of wanted to get the money.
Yeah. And she has a son. She has a 9-year-old son.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it for their date.
Yeah, I don't think we can spend too much time on the dates. We got 4 episodes to get through,
Yeah.
and most of the time they just eat a nice meal and talk about themselves.
Blake is at this time still partnered with Melissa.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And even though they've had some ups and downs, Melissa is expecting to be taken on this date.
Oh, shit.
To the point that when Blake is reading the date card and says, "Love's a slippery slope," Melissa confidently says, "We could be going skiing."
I mean, there's a scene we didn't talk about where like he is talking to her after the challenge and she's like, "This is so good. We're both going to have roses and we can just like,"
Yeah.
she is like full force, like not even thinking about the possibility that he's not giving this thing to her.
Yeah. And so he is standing in front of the entire room. Melissa is just waiting to hear those words. And he chooses Holly.
He says something like, I want to mix things up and I want to keep looking for the best option to win this game. And so in the spirit of that, I'm taking Holly. And pretty much everybody's...
Melissa immediately says that's fucked up and asks him to explain himself. And then she runs out, pulls Michelle with her. Michelle, at this point, I think she's losing patience with Melissa because Melissa continues to be hurt by Blake. And it's very obvious that Blake does not have her best intentions in mind. So Michelle says, some people wear their emotions on their sleeve. Melissa wears them on every article of clothing.
Which I think plays into like a kind of negative thing that Melissa did go through on this season. And I don't want to play into that either, but I will say that like, she got dealt a super bad hand and she got done dirty by Blake, who
Melissa
is
did?
Yes.
Yeah.
She got done dirty by Blake, who is a professional dirty doer. But I will also say that, like, again, from that, like, strategic gameplay point of view, Melissa does not, like, she just doesn't, there was nothing she could have done, I think, after this to kind of walk it back a little bit and then get the game back on her side, because she essentially, after this point, stormed up to everybody in the house and was like, fuck Blake, we need to fucking get him off, he's a piece of trash. Went up to Michael, and Michael was like real upset because remember, him and Holly are ex-fiancés, and now he is kind of coming to grips with the fact like, this might be a serious thing. And she's saying things like, she doesn't give a fuck about you, she doesn't care about you, she doesn't love you, she's just using you and exploiting you, so help me get Blake out. And everybody's like, no, Melissa,
Too much.
Blake is, first of all, Blake is safe this week, so it's going to be like a couple of votes before we can even get him off.
Yeah. I was talking to Griffin because I was really resistant to the idea of just criticizing Melissa because she was emotional, because that didn't seem like the right word.
It's not what she was. Yeah, she was.
It's not that.
She would be where I would be if like somebody led me on to get that rose or whatever in this game where you so desperately need a partner, and then that can turn into like feelings because all of a sudden you're in this hostile environment and you have somebody who's kind of a safety net, and then to have that person fuck you over would make you very upset. And I think you also have to come to grips with the fact, and I'm sure she was dealing with this too, she's probably fucking going home, and she knew that at that moment when she knew she wasn't going to get that rose, so she was super super bummed out.
Yeah.
But everybody else was casting it like she's such an emotional person and so on and so forth.
Melissa tells Blake that she's going to end him because of this. She confronts Holly about Holly's flirting with Blake, and then goes to find Blake again. And this is kind of I thought it was kind of funny, even though it was terrible. Blake's big thing is that he has great teeth. I guess he's a dentist.
I think he might be a dentist.
There's a reference to him being a dentist. Melissa goes to find him to talk to him again, and he's brushing his teeth, and he refuses to stop brushing his teeth and explicitly says, give me 30 more seconds.
I think it was 45, which isn't even, those extra 15 seconds, man, do they fucking matter.
Yeah, because Bachelor Pad made sure that we watched all of those seconds.
I think I said immediately they're going to make us. I think they're going to make us watch all 40 seconds
40
of this, aren't they?
seconds.
Yeah, we never got to see the resolution of that conflict, but like I don't know. I wanted Melissa to like get some rally the troops and like put together a new alliance and get some Count 'em Monte Cristo payback shit going on.
Yeah,
but she kind of I don't know. She just kind of was really angry and
Well, and the way the show is structured, everybody's trying to win, and so if you start to self-destruct, they are going to let you self-destruct.
everybody's and that's like classic like Survivor and
Yeah.
probably Big Brother. I've never watched that where like if somebody sees you starting to dig your own grave votes wise,
Yeah.
the best game plan is just okay. Guess I'm taking a back seat this week.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Blake and Holly go out on a date. They do go skiing slash snowboarding. Holly is not a talented skier, which leads to some wacky happenstance.
You ever get out on that powder? You ever get up on those slopes?
When I was in middle school,
Oh shit! Am I about to get a story?
we took a class trip to a place called Hidden Valley
Just-
in Missouri.
So hold on.
Okay,
Was it a ranch themed? Was it a ranch themed excursion? Were you like water skiing on big pools of ranch?
no. See, you don't understand because you're in West Virginia, so you can get to mountains.
Yes.
And yes, there are Ozark Mountains in Missouri, but they do not have fresh powder on them.
No.
So what we went down was an artificial snow hill over and over and over again, which is my only skiing experience.
You should go sometime, babe. You've never seen anything like it. Mountains just a heap with crisp powder, waiting to get fucking carved up there with me and my board and you on those beautiful blades, hand in hand.
Maybe I want to be on a board.
Shh, there's a deer. You can have my board. Look at the deer. Do you see it? It's eating the powder. Stop that deer. I want to carve that shit. Shh, shh, shh. There's a second deer. There's so many deer up here. Wow. I just jumped over one. Hwah! Avalanche. Let's go, babe. Race it. Race the avalanche with me. We didn't outrun the avalanche.
Griffin, there's a bear.
Oh, no.
He's got your leg now.
Uh-oh, we've been skiing for too long. Here comes the Yeti. It's another ski-free joke. That I don't know why I keep throwing up these
Yeah, I've told
hot
you I don't
ski-free
know.
pitches to you.
I don't know ski free.
So they have a romantic little rendezvous. And
They
it's-
have a very good time.
Yeah.
Blake gives a little speech to Holly. Says, when I got here, I didn't think it wise to get involved with any females. Which I guess is supposed to make Holly feel good, but it's just a horrible sentence.
Yeah, I mean, grammatically, syntax-wise, it's not good.
They do a lot of snow wrestling where it's just like, oh, I fell over. Oh, me too. It's so fun. We're having fun. They make it a point to tell us, the viewer, that neither of them is thinking about Michael.
Thank you.
And then we get clips of Michael waiting at the house.
This is
sad.
when we get Michael, who's shirtless, and then there's like two, like Graham and William are also both shirtless and just like sitting by a fire holding some brandy, just like shirtless, all consoling Michael. Like, what's this cool party you guys are having?
So here's the thing. So what happens, and I forgot, this is true in Bachelor in Paradise too, but when you go on a one-on-one date, you get the option to stay overnight.
Yeah.
And so they are spending the evening at a fire pit with wine, and Blake asks about Michael. And Holly kind of talks about how she was heartbroken when they broke up, but that things have changed and it's, they're still figuring it out. And they talk about how hard it is going to be to go back to the mansion. And Blake gives Holly the rose and says they could spend the night there. And they do.
And they kiss, and we see
And
the
they
kiss.
which is when they don't come home that night, Mike is very upset.
Yes.
So, just to recap, Ella, Kirk, Blake, and Holly all have roses.
Right.
And the next morning, more than 24 hours later, they come home, and Michael literally runs at Holly to say that he had missed her, that he's fallen back in love with her, that she's irreplaceable, and I think that this is his opportunity. Like, oh, I should have said all this stuff before. I'm going to say it now. Holly pretty much immediately tells Michael that her and Blake kissed.
Mike
is very surprised.
And he doesn't take it well. Like, I think Mike is kind of, I guess part of me feels bad for him, but like also part of me, like he says a lot, like, you know, when I hear stuff like that, I just want to go up to that guy and just punch him in the face. It's like, Mike, no, come on, dude. He doesn't handle it very well, I don't think. Then again, I mean, finding out that your ex-fiance is hooking up with somebody that you are living in a house with and you think is kind of a tool, and I think is kind of a tool, I can understand being challenging, but like there's kind of no excuse for some of that stuff.
Yeah. I become more and more sympathetic to Holly. I mean, I've never...
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm never a flan.
Lots of just misses here. A lot of whiffs.
Plylets and flans this week. I've never been a fan of Blake, so that part kind of grosses me out.
Yeah, he sucks.
But she makes the point, you know, we've been apart for months, and it isn't until now when Mike is confronted with me being with somebody else that he is upset. And this is the first date that she's been on since Mike, and it was just nice for her to be out with somebody and to have fun and have it not be complicated. And she's kind of telling Vienna, you know, that it was a really, really good time. And she doesn't want to hurt Mike, but it was a nice date.
Yeah.
So.
Is it voting time?
It is almost voting time. One thing I will say is that Michael, in an effort, I guess, to even the score, sets up a little impromptu date for him and Holly with this like pillows and wine and a blanket, and they're sitting outside together, and it's like his version of a date. So I guess he can feel like he did something with Holly too.
But she also says, like, I was into you, I tried to get us back together, you broke it off, and now I'm not interested. So
yeah,
sorry,
exactly. Bub. So Casey and Vienna, I think, know, since they don't have roses, they need to really shore up their alliances. So they come to Erica and Kirk and Will. And Casey says a line that Griffin and I kind of couldn't get out of our head, where he says that the money is necessary for his grandma to live.
The word for word, sorry. And also says, like, before that, like, in the behind the scenes, like, I've got a little strategy to make sure the numbers are on our side. So, grandma needs this money or she's donezo. Like, literally back to back.
No details.
My grandma needs the money to live. She owes $500,000 to a drug cartel.
I mean, even that would have been something. There were no additional details provided.
There's a lot of talk about, like, we can't let this person get to the finals, which we didn't know this, but there's sort of a Survivor-style vote from the jury, which is like everybody else on the show, to decide, like, which of the final teams wins the money. And so there's a lot of talk about, like, people's story. I feel like it is most grossly leveraged against Ella, because she has this child that she's trying to support, and, I mean, it's whack to think of it this way, but a lot of people there were like, her story about her mom being killed in front of her when she was young is her story, and that's going to win her a lot of votes. And so I think this was Casey's like attempt to start building some lore, but it was like the room level dialogue. Like, my grandma definitely has breast cancer. She needs this $250K. Gotta get it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hesitant to throw too much grief his way, because, I mean, maybe his grandma was sick. But...
No, I'm willing to do it, because he said, like, I know what's going to win me this vote. Okay. My grandma needs this money to live. She's trapped on the moon, and $250,000 will buy her a new spaceship.
So this week we are back to voting one man and one woman off the show. And there's a point when Melissa realizes that she's in danger because somebody says that he has voted for her. I think it was Will, actually.
Yeah.
And Melissa starts scrambling, starts running around, asking people if they voted yet. And if they haven't, they have to not vote for her. And making people so nervous to the point that Graham is specifically telling Michael, just tell her I voted for Erica. Just tell her I voted for Erica.
Yeah.
Like, everyone is scared to have the confrontation with Melissa. And Melissa tries to get Mike to rally the troops. It's like, let's just vote for Erica. Everyone should vote for Erica. Tell people to vote for Erica. Casey says he's voting for Erica just to kind of calm Melissa down. So does Kirk. But it is not true.
No.
Because Will and Melissa both go home.
It was a shame, but it was also, this was, we're close enough now to the finals this week that it was unbelievable that everybody just did this complete fucking throwaway vote. Everybody just like, let's get rid of Melissa and Will. It's like, there are people in this house that are going to win this fucking game. The fact that Casey and Vienna and Mike and Holly, and Graham and Michelle, who ended up being like real fucking strong, they all coasted. None of them were ever in danger.
Alliance. They had, remember that first episode? They had an alliance and they stuck with it.
I guess, but like people inside that alliance got to bust it up at some point to get themselves further ahead. I don't know. It was just weird. Like, okay, they're gone. I guess we're two people closer to winning the game, but like there are people in this house that are going to beat your ass at this game, and you didn't do anything about it this week when you could have. So whatever.
So next episode.
Yes.
Chris Harrison comes out right after the ceremony, says, from here on out, you need to find a partner that you're going to stick with, because all challenges will involve you competing with your partner, and people will be voted out as couples.
So three of the couples are pretty much firmed up, right? The big question is Mike and Holly, and is
Blake and Erica.
Blake and Erica, is Holly going to split off? But no, she made a promise to Mike that they were partners to the end, and so they stay together. So sort of by necessity, Blake and Erica end up staying couples.
Chris Harrison also kind of teases, your challenge is going to be competing with this partner tomorrow, and you might want to get to know them. So at this point, they recognize that the challenge is probably going to involve some kind of how well do you know your partner quiz. And so they all sit around the house kind of asking each other questions and taking notes.
Right.
And the next morning, the couples are introduced to the nearly wed game. And Chris Harrison hits that nearly
so hard every time.
over and over and over again.
Maybe that was like legally required. In order for it to be fair use, he had to spend like 2 extra syllables saying nearly.
So everybody has planned a lot, except for Casey and Vienna, who are really cocky because they've been dating for 6 months and they know everything about each other.
Rachel and I have been together for forever, and I still feel like we would only do. I don't know what your favorite fucking animal or whatever is. I mean, you don't really have one. We've talked about it on this show. I thought it was sloth, but
no, it's over.
See, it's done.
I'm still looking.
Capybaras are
If anyone
timeless.
knows any animals out there,
Can I get you on Team Cappy?
I mean, I don't want it to be your thing and my thing. I want to have my own thing.
That's true. Don't make it some predator that would kill a Cappy.
I would not.
Okay.
I love them. So the questions are very close and intentionally close to the newlywed game style questions. For example, one of the questions is, how many dates would be required for you before making whoopee? Which is a very newlywed game kind of thing.
And also, like, the most horrible sentence.
Yeah.
Do you think Whoopi Goldberg is, like, bummed out that her name has turned into this, like, childish way of referring to lovemaking?
What is that, her given name?
Whoopi?
Yeah.
I don't know. Let me see. Are you reaching for your phone?
I want to look it up. I've never thought that before. Oh, it's Whoopifrid. No, it's not. Do you want to know what it is?
No. I want to keep living in a world where I think it's Whoopi Goldberg.
Oh, Griffin. Okay.
Say it.
Her name is Karen Elaine Johnson.
You say it?
Yes.
It's still Whoopi to me. You guys are still Whoopi Goldberg to me. You know that song?
No.
I don't think I do either very well.
This is, were you doing like a still?
So what other questions and sexual answers were there?
So the way this works is that the men and women go in isolation, so they can't hear their partner's response, and then they come out and they hold up little signs with how they think their partner answered. So let's just very quickly, let's go back to how many dates before making whoopee.
Oh, jeez.
Vienna says 22. I don't.
If that's how you do, that's fine. It was just it's such a specific pull.
Yeah.
So most of I think the majority was like 3. And I feel like that's sort of the
A lot of
like
people
thing
say
folks
over
say.
10.
Yeah, Holly said 14. Like once you get over 10, it's like, why? I guess I'm curious. Why 22? Because Casey says 3. He like predicts that that's going to be her answer, and she's like, "What? No, not 3. We didn't have sex until like 17 dates in." And it's like, why 17? What's that number? I don't know. I would have, what my answer would have been? When it feels right.
Oh, I love that. Mm-hmm. What if it was like 3.5? It's like, I need half of a date and I'm just going to town.
We're in this fucking TGI Fridays. Meet me in the bathroom. I can't wait. I will mention that one of the answers was Graham correctly predicted 7 dates for Michelle Money, which we'll come back to.
Incredible. Yeah, you're thinking as you're watching it like, oh man, they must have really studied.
They must have really prepared because they were getting every answer right.
So there was a question about, your favorite animal. There was a question about what quality does your partner's exes miss the most? And when it comes to Casey and Vienna, Casey says teeth.
He predicts that Vienna said, they miss my teeth.
I mean, she's got great teeth.
I guess, but
yeah.
I don't remember what most of my ex's teeth were like, I don't think.
Casey writes down boobs because, she thinks like...
No, Vienna writes down boobs.
Or Vienna, yeah. Vienna thinks that that's her thing that guys would miss. And Casey says, no. Men don't like that. Men like teeth.
This is where we hit the point in the point we reach in every challenge where Vienna gets just irreversibly angry at Casey.
She is very, very competitive, and Casey is too, but they are just never on the same page. And
no, they're just putting up bricks.
Yeah, it was awful. What else we have here? Oh, okay, so this is when Chris Harrison gets a little devilish. It says, if your partner could kiss somebody else in the house, who would they be?
Hi, Mike and Holly. How's it going over there, Mike? Good?
If your partner could sleep with someone else in the house, who would it be?
And who is your partner's secret crush in the house?
Yeah.
And like all of these, like Blake says Holly and Holly says Blake, and Mike has to get, this is what's the most brutal, is Mike has to guess. Like it's not Holly saying my secret crush is Blake. It is Mike saying Holly's secret crush is Blake.
Remember the one time Mike wrote down his own name?
And Mike wrote down that's what I'm saying. Like Mike had to make this decision between, do we want to get the points or do I want to acknowledge the fact that this woman who was engaged to and saying I'm falling back in love with wants to be with this other guy. Do I want to get the points or do I want to say she wants to have sex with Blake?
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Brutal.
It is
so
unbelievable
brutal.
the positions that this show puts these 3 people in.
People kind of get their revenge on Blake, though, because at a certain point, one of the questions is, who is your least favorite person in the house? And pretty much every single person says Blake.
And everybody guesses correctly that person's going to hate Blake, yeah.
Yeah. So, at this point in the competition, Michelle and Graham are crushing it, and so are Erica and Blake.
Yeah.
And so then there's more questions. How many people has your partner had sex with? Who in the house has the worst sense of fashion? Who is most likely to cheat?
So, and this whole time, just to set this up, Graham and Michelle are crushing it. They're getting every answer right, but they're also giving weird answers. Like, who has the worst fashion? Michelle guesses that Graham wrote Mike. Yeah. And everybody's like, well, really, Mike? And like, who's your secret crush? And he writes Holly. And everyone's like, really, Holly? And every time it's like, how many people have you slept with? How many girlfriends have you had? How many dates? It's always, he always said, they always get it right.
Yeah.
And then,
and the who was most likely to cheat was Mike, which Mike was like,
why me?
Yeah. So then we get to this next question. And this next question made Griffin and I so nervous because the question was, how old were you when you lost your virginity? And Blake says, oh, I was kind of young. I was 16. And Casey says, oh, 21. And Vienna gets it right. And then we get to Graham. And Graham says, I was pretty young. 7.
And everyone's like, whoa. And then, like, pretty quickly it is revealed that their strategy is, and they prep this in the house, just anytime there's a numerical question, write 7, and I'll guess 7, and we'll get every single one of those right. Like, a poll fell over the crowd for, like, a split second, and then everybody was like, oh, you're cheating.
Yeah.
Every time it's a number, it's 7. Every time it's a...
If it's a genderless question, pick Mike.
Yeah, if there's a question where the answer is non-gender specific, pick Mike. If it is a question about a woman, pick Holly.
Yes.
And using those 3 heuristics, they
win.
fucking destroy.
Yeah.
And everybody, like, gets pissed off, but everybody's also like, why didn't I fucking think of that?
Yeah. Yeah, Blake and Erica get really close, but nobody can beat that strategy.
Yeah. There is if you come in second place, you don't get the rose, but you still get to go on a date with your partner, which is great for these two who are the only, like, non-romantically linked couple in the house.
So Michelle and Graham get a special movie night where they get to see the movie What's Your Number?
I don't remember this film. It's a star-studded cast, and I'm sure it's excellent. But I think I missed it in theaters. Love Anna Faris, and Chris Pratt's in it, and I wondered if they met on the set of this one, but it was a different one.
We looked it up.
I know.
Because I had that question. And they met on some movie like years and years before that.
Here's the issue about this day, is they watched this fucking movie in a hot tub. Can you even imagine the pruniness factor? After just brine for an hour and a half, and let's watch and see if Anna Faris gets her guy.
Yeah, it seems like you'd want to sit down in a comfortable seat.
I mean, a hot tub is literally sitting. It's God's most comfortable seat that he ever invented. But
can I say something? I don't think I like hot tubs as much as you do.
What, babe? I've been, like, trying to get us to get one of these beautiful little human picklers.
Usually after, like, I don't know, 6 or 7 minutes, I'm, like, ready to be out of there.
That's all you need, though, is a dunk to just wash away the cares of the day in that special water that they have. Are you kidding me? The jet's going all over you? You don't like that feeling?
I think you just generally have more achiness than I do.
This is true. I need one of those baseball baths that you see all the baseball players in, a little baseball bath.
Oh, I thought you said baseball bat. And I was wondering what that was.
I want you to hit me with a baseball bat over and over and over again until all my joints and bones are fixed.
One thing we should mention, they do take a helicopter to the movie.
It's very exciting. Does anything happen on this day? I mean, they smooch and they seem like they're having kind of a romantic connection.
Yeah, no, that's basically it.
Okay.
There's kissing. That's about it. I will say, while this is going on, the reason that we didn't pay too much attention is there is a fight back at the house between Casey and Vienna that everybody is captivated by. Casey,
this was awful.
Casey, it's a little confusing, but from what we can tell, Casey wants to have sex with Vienna, and he thinks that that's what Vienna wants. And then Vienna decides she doesn't want that, and he gets upset and pulls the promise ring off her finger.
This is like saying this out loud is fucking horrifying.
Yes.
This is fucking horror. Like this is beyond the pale. Like this actually was a fucking huge bummer, because like this is like, you said you'd have sex with me. Come on, like, and then trying to guilt her into it is like,
oh yeah. So that's what happens. So she goes back to her bunk and is like, I'm going to go to bed, and he's standing next to her bunk talking to her, and I guess because the fight was so public, he wants her to come downstairs with him and cuddle with him. It sounds like to put on the face in front of everybody, like, look, we're fine. And she doesn't want to. And he keeps saying, well, I'm just going to go home. Let's just go home. Let's forget the whole show. Whatever. I don't want to be here. So either you come downstairs with me or I'm going to leave. My bag is packed.
So like, either come downstairs with me and let's put on a good face, or else I'm going to leave.
Yeah.
He's a fucking total creep.
Yeah, and eventually she does go downstairs with him.
Yeah.
It's awful.
It's really, really awful.
But that captivates everybody in the house. The next date, Erica and Blake.
So Erica is going to try to seduce Blake. Here's the thing about
A
Erica.
lot of sexual pressure in this episode.
Very, very much so. Erica's whole deal is, it sucks that I'm teamed up with Blake. Everybody fucking hates his guts and wants to get him out of the house right now. And I'm his partner. And from this point on, teams vote together and they go home together. And so if people can't squash their beef with Blake, then Erica knows she's dead in the water too. So some of this is performative. Some of this is like, let's put on a nice face, and maybe people will think you're into me. And if people think you're less into Holly, maybe Michael won't be gunning for you as much, and maybe people won't have as much beef
Maybe
with you.
you won't be as much of a target if it doesn't seem like you're trying to get in between Mike and Holly.
This date was just like a whole lot of like this and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Blake, she like packs up some lingerie to bring with them and basically says like, I really want to get this to be an overnight date.
They go to this place called the Mission Inn that's like Spanish style, and they walk around like catacombs, and Erica talks about ghosts and how she communicates with ghosts and how her astrologer said certain things to her about the date. They get to the table to have dinner, and there is a rose on the table.
There are 2 roses, yeah.
2 roses. And at first there's this brief moment where it's like, could these be for us? But no, they are theirs to give out. So the plan now becomes, strategically, we could give these roses to a couple that wouldn't vote us off. And so they talk about that a little bit, and then the conversation turns to, should we stay the night here? And Erica very much wants to, and makes a lot of arguments as to why that is a good move.
And Blake really very much doesn't want to, and also has like counter arguments to everything she says. So like, for instance, to give you an idea of the discourse here, Erica says like, it'd be good for you to stay here and people will think you're less into Holly and more into me, and then maybe they will sort of not hate you as much. And he says, well, people will hate me even more if they think I hooked up with another woman here, and so I should be home and start like, you know, also trying to sort of grease the wheels, so to speak, to like get the vote back in my favor.
Yeah, what's confusing about this exchange, I mean, there's a lot of things, but for me, Erica is kind of playing 2 sides. She's playing this like, this is purely strategy. We should stay here and it'll look good. And then also, I really want to have sex with you. Why won't you have sex with me?
Yeah, and
that part is really uncomfortable.
Yeah,
to
it's no
watch.
good. I honestly like Blake sucks the moon right out of the sky, but I honestly think the reason he didn't go for this is because him and Holly actually had a really strong connection, and he didn't want to like do anything about that. Because remember, again, Blake and Holly end up getting married, and so like, he probably just didn't want to do anything to get in the way of that, I imagine.
Yeah. Blake makes the point, because he had heard that Erica was going around telling everybody about the lingerie she was bringing. And he's like, how would it have looked if I went around telling all the dudes, like, hey, I'm going to bring all these condoms, so we're going to hook up tonight. And Erica, of course, doesn't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, that would be great.
It's another gross scene in this pretty gross episode. Yeah. But they end up kind of getting in a bit of a fight about it, but end up going home without staying the night.
Yeah, they don't stay the night, and then they come back, and the next morning they have to decide who to give these roses to. And I kind of thought at first, oh, they're just going to approach the couple they want to give the roses to. So when they go up to Ella and Kirk first, I think, oh, they're going to give it to them. And then they also go up to Casey and Vienna.
Which, like, of course, like, as soon as they come to Casey, Casey's like, I'll do anything. You're safe. You give me those roses, I'm the Don.
Well,
I'll keep you
Casey
safe.
goes even further and says, you give it to us, you'll be safe. If you don't, you'll be stabbed in the back.
Yeah. They also, but like, Kirk and Ella are like, yeah, we could really use those roses, and you team up with us. Like, what I was thinking is they team up, they give them the roses, and then they go to Mike and Holly and say, yo, Mike, I know you don't like me very much, but we can all work together right now to get rid of Casey and Vienna. And maybe they could have had a play, but instead, nope, they give them to Casey and Vienna and just like roll the hard 6 and see what happens.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Casey and Vienna are fucking insufferable because they have roses. Vienna does a little skit with the rose, a little puppet skit. And fucking Casey talks like he's this strategic, like, mastermind, when it's like, dude, somebody just, like, gave you that.
Yeah, Ella is very sad that she does not get the rose.
Yeah.
And And then it comes down to, well, who's going home? Is it going to be Blake and Erica or Ella and Kirk? And Vienna is so worried about Ella's story. And she's like, well, you know, we all have stories. That's something you pull out at the end and make it real sincere.
I thought for sure they were going to go home. I was kind of surprised. It was Graham and, God, why can't I never remember her name? Michelle, that end up kind of turning the worm because they say, like, we're not going to vote for our friends.
Well, so Michelle, after Vienna says, you know, we can't keep Ella, her story's too good. Michelle's like, well, I have a 9-year-old kid too. Like, it's not about the story.
Right.
Like, I am sending Blake home because I don't trust him.
Yeah.
And that is what I'm doing. And so all of a sudden Vienna is kind of pushed back a little bit, I think, from Michelle. And so what ends up happening,
This was buck wild.
it comes down to Mike and Holly.
Right. So it's 2 votes and 2 votes. And so the deciding vote, because it's 5 teams, is Mike and Holly.
And Mike tells Holly, I want to send Blake home, but it's up to you. You're the one making the decision.
So in this situation, in the couples, the women are the ones who ultimately go in and cast the vote. And so he says, like, seriously, do what you want to do in there. I can't tell you, like, I want to send Blake home, but obviously, like, that is a huge decision for you. And so, like, you do what you need to do.
He does also say, like, I'm your ex-fiance. I really want you to have my back on
Yeah,
this.
yeah. I mean, he's definitely doing that too. The most sort of, like, poignant scene, and it's one of the most, like, man, I got kind of emotional watching it because I don't think I've ever, like, seen anything with this many layers happen on a Bachelor product before. Is Holly's, like, sitting in the bathroom and she's crying because she is also very, very good friends with Ella. And Ella walks into the bathroom and sees her crying and says, you know, talk to me, tell me what's up. And she says, like, you're my best friend, but I have these very, very strong feelings for Blake, who Mike doesn't like, and I'm just so torn. And so Ella doesn't say, like, well, you should vote Blake home because you should send off Blake because he's a fucking snake. Like, Ella is actually very even keeled about it. It's like, I can't tell you what to do, but just, like, either way, everybody's gonna love you and support you no matter what. This woman,
Yeah, she specifically says, like, Mike will understand.
Mike will understand. She says that, even though saying that means it's okay if you keep Blake and send me, your best friend in the house, home because you want to keep your new boyfriend. Like, me, your best friend in the house, like, understands that. It was there were so many, like, things happening in that conversation, and I was like, I was blown away that this show managed to, like, capture it.
Yeah. What ends up happening, Blake and Erica do go home, which means Blake has to know that Holly voted for him. And I guess Holly writes him, like, a little note.
Yeah, Holly writes him a note. I wrote down kind of the gist of it in the notes there, but it basically said, like, we're not done, so wait for me.
This isn't the end for us. So, yeah, Blake doesn't seem particularly angry about it.
No, he seems like
gets
happy.
it.
Like, I understand why I didn't win, and hopefully things will get serious between me and Holly because I'm starting to fall for her. You know what I'm starting to fall for?
Being stolen away.
I guess so. Oh, sorry, the reflux got me there.
You want me to do it?
No, I want to do it. It's just the reflux got me. Give me a second. We had salads and I had a spicy peanut dress. Don't you dare take this from me.
Oh, I'm just so ready, though.
Hey, can I steal you away?
La 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 la.
That was. How long have you had that in the tank, in the quiver?
Just now.
Wow, you are a fucking improv genius.
Thank you. Okay, this week's sponsor is Jet.com. Roze Buddiez is supported in part by Jet, a shopping site that makes it easy to save money on the stuff you buy all the time.
You just buy big airplanes there, or?
No. Griffin. The good thing about Jet, and I actually got to use it, is that as you shop, you save more money. Free shipping on orders over 35. And
It's over 35. Like, if you're over 35, you get free orders, or?
that would be nice. That would work for me now. Over $35. Free returns within 30 days, no membership or annual fees. Let me explain how it works.
Please do.
So there are certain things that I buy that I know, for example, I am not going to return. And this website is
Hygiene product.
Okay, sure.
It's just one example.
Or diapers for Henry.
Popcorn, you eat that, and it's
Laundry detergent.
TP for your TP for me bunghole. You remember?
Oh, Griffin.
And then
So
that's all of them. All food, any food.
yes. Also some clothes items. For example, you know your size, you know what you're going to get. Maybe like a nice rug that you just think, I know this rug's going to work for me.
Sure.
Anyway, the thing that's nice about Jet is that you have the opportunity to save money when you buy things and check little boxes. Like, for example, I'm not going to return this item. And that saves a little money. Or I'm going to pay with a debit card. And that saves a little bit of money.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so they start knocking off change here and there. And you'll notice on all your items, the more you buy, the more the price is reduced.
So I'm on Jet. Say I'm on Jet. And you hear me on my phone. Let me grab it. Let's say I'm on Jet. And I'm buying some TP. And I buy like 500 rolls of it. And I check like, of course I'm not going to return this. It's TP. It's a silly website. And then I also pay for it with the debit card. That's basically free TP at that point. More or less. The markdown is significant.
Significantly discounted, yes.
Thanks, Jet.
I used that to buy some clothes for Henry that I knew would fit him.
Oh.
There's more on there, Griffin, if you want to read the special deal for our listeners.
Oh, shit. Fucking yeah, dude. I love saving my friends money.
It's at the top of the email.
It's at the top of it, so I'll read that right now. You can save 20 whole US dollars off your first two orders of $35 or more if you visit jet.com and you enter the prode, which is podcast slang for promo code. Type in the prode Roze Buddiez at checkout. That's jet.com, code Roze Buddiez. Terms and conditions apply. See jet.com for details. Hey, I want to tell you about a Jumbotron it's been weighing heavy on my mind lately. And it's from Amanda for Tim. And Amanda says, this message was meant for V-Day, but it looks like it will more likely be read around our 10-year anniversary of dating, which is better anyways. I know we have a new anniversary now, but I couldn't let this one go by without saying I love you. I can't believe you got me into watching this show, but I'm glad I get to listen to this podcast with you. Fix. Oh, thanks.
Thanks, yeah. That's great.
That's great, and it's very, very sweet, and I'm glad you recognized our human limitations in not getting messages in around V-Day. Also, do you remember what our dating anniversary is? I think it was July.
Yeah, end of July is
30th?
when we first. I mean, what we're counting is when we first smooched.
Is it first smooch or first pork, or is it first first date? First date?
I count smooches.
Okay.
Because that's when we were like, this is on.
I mean, you made me go 41 dates before we hit full port.
Oh, that's nice. My mom listens, so that sounds great.
Hi, Linda. It was 41. It was basic. I mean, it was like actually at 41. That actually timed out to like a couple months after our wedding. Here's one more. Stop, this phone goes to sleep so fast. Here's another Jumbotron. It's for Gemma. And it's from Forrest, who says, happy combination anniversary Valentine's Day week. And after we just praised that other couple for getting it right. I love you so much. I might not be able to accept a rose because of my pollen allergies, but I will take a cute little house, animals, day-long Monster Factory marathons, and night-long D&D campaigns with you. P.S. Thank you for shoveling the snow. I know I hate it since the skiing accident. Oh, we've all been there.
Oh, that's fun.
Wow, there's a weirdly like this message that this person probably sent in like 6 or 7 months ago is so full of callbacks to this one specific episode we're in the middle of recording.
It's true.
That's buck wild how that happened. Sorry about the skiing accident. It changed me too when I heard. Did you hear?
I mean, we don't know what this.
Both knees.
Okay.
One eardrum. The snow went so far up their nose, babe. The snow went so far up their nose, babe. It was sick.
I'm Hal Lublin.
I'm Danielle Radford.
I am Michael Eagle.
And we are the hosts of Tights and Fights, Maximum Fun's newest podcast dedicated to all things wrestling.
We'll be talking about Sasha Banks, the Women's Revolution, Sasha Banks, the brand split, and Sasha Banks' wigs.
And we'll also be talking about wrestler fashion. Some wrestlers wear too many clothes. Some wrestlers don't wear enough clothes at all.
And I'll be doing impressions of all your favorite wrestlers.
New episodes Thursdays on Maximum Fun or wherever you get your podcasts. Oh, yeah, dig it.
Tights and Fights Podcast. Tights and Fights.
What happened next? Are we on the last episode yet?
Close. Episode 6.
This listening to this podcast is the only thing you wanted to do today, right? Okay, cool. Just check it in.
Okay. Chris Harrison comes in. Pack your bags, ladies and gentlemen. The final challenge is in Vegas.
Question, I guess, off the top of my head is how are we going to find out what actually happened while they were there, you know?
Oh, yeah, because there's no way for us to know.
That's what I'm saying. They take it and I guess they shoot the film footage.
We'll have to watch this in Vegas.
That's how, okay. So, like, when you leave, they're like, do you have any film on you that you shot here? How did they, you know what I'm thinking of, babe? Yeah. Just now I'm thinking of The Hangovers. Love them. Oceans 11, 12, 13. Saw them. I saw them. I guess one of those was in Paris, but one of them was definitely in Vegas, baby.
Leaving Las Vegas?
That's explicitly not true. Like, you couldn't have. And me see it. Mm-hmm. How are these things happening?
Did you watch all of those in Vegas at the Vegas Museum?
You know what? I watched them all at the Vegas Museum.
I like this idea that there is a museum you can go to and see all the things that happened there.
Yeah, it's great. I flew to Vegas, which is the only place where you can watch The Hangovers. And they're so good. The Wolfpack is at it again.
Yeah.
What even happened there that night? I don't know. It's Vegas.
I haven't been to Vegas.
Oh,
since
you
those
got to
movies
get to
came
Vegas and watch The Hangovers.
I have actually been to Vegas, but not since those movies came out.
You got to get there and you got to watch The Hangovers. Because I'm making jokes all the time and you think they're so funny. It's all hangovers. Mm-hmm. You remember I was like, Mike Tyson has a tiger. And you're like, what are you fucking talking about? And I was like, never mind.
You've actually violated some rules by telling me that.
You're right. Like the information police are going to come like kick down the door. This podcast is going to go in the Vegas vault. Fuck.
Well, all of our listeners will go to Vegas to listen to this episode.
Oh, that'll be good.
Okay. Can we talk about the date?
It's very good.
So they enter a theater and they all stand in the aisle. And I think it's weird that they stand in the aisle and they don't sit down in any of the hundreds of seats that are available to them. But then this like rotating platform comes down. And it's spinning around, and they know this has to do with their challenge, but they don't really know what they're supposed to be doing. And then Chris Harrison comes out, and at first we thought it was a magician of some kind, because Chris Harrison was just wearing a vest and a white button-down shirt.
Yeah, we thought he was a magician because he looked like a fucking magician. This is not a joke. Like, it was kind of foggy, and this wall, which was like vertically oriented, so it was just like a straight up wall platform. Like they said 100 feet, but there's no way it was 10 stories tall. Was like rotating, and then there was this fog, and out from the fog came a man wearing a white shirt with a black vest, and I was like, that's David fucking Copperfield. Yeah. But it was just Chris Harrison, who was, I guess, cosplaying maybe a little bit.
We're real copperheads over here in the McElroy household. Okay, so Chris Harrison tells them they have 24 hours to train. The last place couple will leave immediately. And so they have to learn this routine with the good people at Cirque du Soleil.
New friends of the family, Cirque du Soleil. Hi. They're actually old friends. I know somebody who does Cirque du Soleil.
Are you sure it's official Cirque
I'm
du
pretty
Soleil?
Sure. Yeah, I've seen them Facebooking.
Yeah.
What, some offshoot it's Cirque du Soleil. Actually, is how they pronounce it. It's an offshoot. It's like a regional. It's like a branch. They opened up a branch, a Cirque branch.
A circuit.
Oh,
that's
hey.
fun. Okay, so they watch these two performers do the routine they're going to have to do. It's a minute long, It's 50 seconds of choreography, and then they'll have 10 seconds to just kind of improvise.
Yeah, basically they strap into these harnesses, and they have these little remote controls they hold in their hands that zips the harnesses, so they like fly up the wall or they fly down the wall. But basically they have choreography that's supposed to look like they're just like doing it on the ground, but they are doing it while sort of rappelling, kind of, if you can envision that. And everybody is so like. This is the most Bachelor shit ever, and that like everybody's like, all right, we need to do this 50 seconds of choreography that the Cirque du Soleil people teach us, but then we have 10 seconds to just freestyle, and I feel like that's really where we're going to stand out. And the shit they do in these freestyle moments are like the most whack ever.
Yeah, there's like salutes and handshakes.
They do the worm,
and hugs and kisses.
The hand worm thing.
Yeah.
You know, where you hold somebody's hand and you do the worm with your arms.
Yeah.
What's that called? Hand worm? It is hand worm.
Oh, okay. That sounds like a condition our son might
Yeah,
get.
our baby's got hand worm. We picked it up at daycare.
And so everybody is practicing into the night, except for Casey and Vienna, who we see sleeping. But everybody else is just like really
on their grind,
putting it in there. So there's going to be. I said putting it in there.
Where am I?
There's a panel of judges.
Experts.
If you'll recall, the synchronized swimming challenge, there was actually a woman on the panel that had knowledge of synchronized swimming.
She won a fucking gold medal at the Olympics. And then apparently Mike Fleiss watched that segment and was like, she was fucking boring. No more.
So the panel of judges for this competition is Trista, Jason Mesnick, and Allie, who is carried in by her fiance at the time, Roberto.
I don't know anything about these two at all.
They are no longer together.
Oh, shoot.
Sorry.
Don't it always seem to go that you don't know? God, Joni. Wouldn't it be nice? Can we just get in the car and just load up the baby and just drive around tonight and listen to Joni? And he'll sleep in the car. Just go on a little Joni trip.
That'd be really nice, actually.
It'd be real, real nice. You know where we could go? California, California. But you didn't think I was going to hit that note, but I did.
You did, even in a hushed voice.
Yeah, I wasn't using my diaphragm at all. What? Oh, you want to talk more about Bachelor Pad?
Yeah, I wanted to keep going. Okay, so as Griffin mentioned, all the couples do kind of little basic things with their 10 seconds. I will say that Michelle and Graham have a little difficulty on the wall, as do Kirk and Ella.
They have some Graham and Michelle do have some strategy though, which is like their whole thing of just like, we know we can't do this good, but one of the scoring metrics was chemistry, and so they like hugged and kissed, like, I love you, babe. Let's get up there and just have fun. Okay, I love you so much, and totally playing it up.
I would say the top two, and this is confirmed by the judges, obviously, Casey and Vienna do really well. They're really in sync. And Holly and Michael. With their 10 seconds, crush it.
They fucking destroyed it. There's like this whole thing where like he's falling and she's trying to catch him, so they're both falling at the same time, but she's a little bit above him, like reaching for him. And which Michael, is so symbolic and beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Michael like propels himself off the wall and does all these like pivots and twists.
And it ends with this full-blown dirty dancing. Like he lifts her up off the wall and is holding her by one leg and one arm as she kind of like splays out, and he's like holding her off the wall.
Yeah.
And everybody in the judges table was like, fuck yes. And it showed a split second of Vienna's face and she was like, fuck no. Because sure enough, they did not win this challenge, even though they very much wanted to.
So at the end, the judges are giving their feedback, and Jason Mesnick is complimenting Holly and Michael on their performance and says, "Are you a couple?" Which is just a little devastating.
Yeah, it's tough. They're like, nope, not right now. Nope.
But I enjoyed that Jason thought he could really spot from a couple's aerial performance whether or not they were in love.
Yeah.
Okay, so Holly and Michael get roses, and they get to choose a couple that gets to stay. And the couple that gets to go home immediately, I shouldn't say gets to. They don't want to.
It has to go home.
They don't want to go home. The couple that has to go home immediately that lost the challenge is Kirk and Ella.
Yeah, Ella was just like really scared up there on the wall, and she talks about on her drive home, like, I didn't want to fall 100 feet and die and leave my child alone. And I mean, it kind of seemed like she was constantly thinking about that while they were doing their performance. So like, that's too bad. I liked Ella a lot. What season was she from again? I guess she was from...
I don't remember. I don't think I watched it.
Yeah. And she mostly feels bad because she's like, I know I didn't do good up there and I let Kirk down. And Kirk is only going home because I like couldn't get over my fear of this huge wall.
Yeah. So back at the mansion, Holly and Mike are debating whether to save Casey and Vienna or Michelle and Graham.
Yeah, because at this point, they're the only vote that matters because the other two have to vote for each other. So they're basically deciding who are we going to bring into the finals with us. And again, remember, there's a jury vote, so that's one thing they have to keep in mind is who can they beat in the jury vote. Yeah,
so it becomes like an interview where Michael and Holly are interviewing Casey and Vienna, and Vienna, before this interview, tells Casey, you need to be less intense because it really makes Holly uncomfortable and she doesn't like it. So be less intense. And Casey he immediately comes after Michael. He says like, well, you've been going really hard and doing whatever it takes and like really coming after us. And Mike's like, oh, I never like led the charge on that. And Casey's like, no, I know. But I mean, you're willing to do whatever, And so I know that you're a good player. And you can tell that it was kind of like an abrasive way to start the conversation.
He's really coming at him a mile a minute. And basically their pitch, and it was true, was nobody's going to fucking vote for us. Everybody, we're insufferable. Everybody in that jury's going to hate us. You take us and you're going to win. And I think the whole time they were saying that, like Casey was like, until I bust out my grandma needs the money to live.
I think it was hard for Casey to make that argument. I think he really like didn't want to act like they weren't.
Yeah, but I mean, Mike and Holly were very receptive to it and said like, yeah, if we take you, we'll beat your ass. So
yeah, they were like, Graham and Michelle have kept their hands clean, but we fought and done the dirty work.
Right. And so they go to Graham and Michelle and basically say like, here's where we're at. If we take you guys, we think we'll lose. If we take them, we think we'll win. So, sorry.
Yeah. So after these conversations happen, Vienna is really upset with Casey for talking too much. And so Casey goes off and sits by himself.
And next to like a wall. He's just like is barefoot, like holding the beer, and he just goes and like sits next to like a retaining wall outside and just sitting in the shade, just thinking his thought.
And Vienna, instead of like doubling back on being so critical of him and saying that he talked too much, she just goes out there, finds him, and then says it again.
Yeah, she's like, listen, I only said all that stuff because you're going to lose us this whole game with how dumb an ass you are.
Yeah.
I only said all that stuff because you didn't do what I said and you fucking lost us the game and there's nothing we can do about it because you're a big dumb bastard.
And Graham is upset after their conversation because Graham is worried that Michael has basically said, I'm not taking you guys because you'd win. And Graham is like, it's not about the money.
I don't care about the money. It's like,
totally
okay, it's
about
good
the
that you don't
money.
care about the money because he would lose it if you all came into the finals. It's not about the money. It's about the friendship. Okay, so if he takes you, then you win the money. Is it still not about the money? Well, all right. Come on.
Yeah, I thought it was really strange. And Michelle was trying to get him to calm down because he was starting to get like really worked up.
Yeah.
So it comes down to the rose ceremony night. And Holly is giving like a little speech to explain their decision. And she says there is selfishness and then there is selflessness. And keeping Casey and Vienna would be us being selfish because we think we can beat them. And us taking Michelle and Graham would be selfless because they deserve to be there and they're good competitors, but it most likely means we won't win. And so Michelle and Graham are kind of readying themselves to be eliminated, but they end up keeping them.
Yep.
And sending Casey and Vienna home.
They say Casey and Vienna, we will not be taking you to the finals. Their send-off was so weird because like Casey, like, picked up Vienna and they were both kind of laughing as they walked over to the limo. And then as soon as they got in the limo, like Vienna bursted into tears and started crying. And Casey was like, listen, that thing they said was bull. because we've voted with them every time. And so we weren't the selfish choice. We were selfless. And what they did was selfish. It wasn't selfish to keep us. It was selfless. You tried to take it and turn it there, but you got lost in the hedge maze of that sentence a little bit.
Casey also tells us, the viewer, that he carried Vienna on his back throughout the competition, which is very much the opposite of what happened from what I can tell. So yeah.
Bye, guys. Bye. So there was a weird thing where we saw, and I don't know if we mentioned it on the show, but there was like a bit we saw in the like season preview of Vienna saying like, I don't care about Casey. Like, I don't care about a boyfriend. I care about the money. So if I have to like ditch him in order to win the money, awesome. And if memory serves, that never popped up in any of the episodes we watched.
Yeah, I don't think it did. I think that's just like some footage that they used to make the season seem spicy.
Yeah, the season was spicy enough. It's weird that they added that in.
I know.
So this is where we get into the finale, which again is just a lot of rehashing and interviewing the contestants, and we skipped all that.
We fast forward, I would say, like 90% of that because we didn't really care where people were today.
Yeah,
we just wanted to know what happened.
And by today, Rachel means in fucking like March 2011, but also like there was stuff with Casey and Vienna and about how they like maybe broke up. I don't know. We were gone at that point. They're broken up now. Obviously, we talked about like
the one thing we did
stuff.
watch though.
Yeah, there's a lot of Holly, Michael, Blake stuff. Although obviously Holly and Michael weren't out there yet because they were like the finalists, and they brought them out later. But before they did, they brought Blake up, and there was some stuff.
So Chris Harrison interviews Blake and asks about Holly, and Blake is like, "Oh, I'm very much in love with her." And Chris is like, "Oh, are you still together?" And he's like, yeah, things are incredible. We're very, very happy. And then they start showing this footage of the two of them on a date.
Don't know how they got this. Don't know how they organically captured this footage.
Yeah.
Must have been in Vegas, and they, could keep mum about it.
Where Blake proposes to Holly, and Holly says yes and accepts the Neil Lang ring.
A big fucking close-up on this Neil Lane ring. This must have happened so fast. The turnaround on this season could not have been more than a few months, right?
Yeah.
They move fast here in Bachelor Country.
And so then they invite Mike and Holly and Michelle and Graham out. And Chris is like, "Mike, were you watching backstage?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, about Blake and Holly moving," because he knew that they were moving together to like North Carolina or something.
They set it up like, about Blake and Holly, right? He's like, "Oh, what? They're moving in together?"
And Holly's like, "Well, no, actually, we got engaged." And Mike appears shocked.
So here's the reason why I think this was actually legit. First of all, because this show is a franchise, and the people who make it are Satan. But also, like, his response was, "We got engaged," and he looks like shocked, and he says, like, "Just right now, just like right here, a few minutes ago, like here in the audience." And they're like, "No, it happened a little while ago, and so we just like watched it." And he's like, "Okay, can we?" Well, I'm in shock right now, and can we go to commercial, please? Or can I get a glass of water? And everybody like laughs, and he's like, "No, I'm being completely serious. I didn't know about this, and now I don't know how to respond to it."
Yeah, they start to kind of come up with excuses.
Apparently it happened. What Blake says is, "It just happened Sunday. I'm sorry I didn't call you." And Michael's like, "Yeah, that would have been like somebody telling me before he says, "This is seriously how we're doing this? Yeah. This is seriously how you tell me this? Like on national television in front of everybody? This is how I find out?"
Yeah. And then he kind of composes himself a little bit and says, that's great. That's what I wanted for her. And at first Griffin and I were like, is this just part of his strategy to get people to vote for him? Because they feel bad for him. But it legitimately seemed like he didn't know. Like he was shocked.
It's really hard for me and it was hard for me this whole season, because this was obviously, like, if you take all this at face value, all these folks went through a lot. Holly and Michael went through a lot this season. And it's hard for me to divorce that completely with this idea of, like, they are making a television show, and there are incentives for raking the coals of drama as much as you can while you're making this TV show and be, like, a good TV star. But, like, And that being said, like, this could have totally been a ploy and we could be total fucking marks right now. But I don't know. It felt just as like horrifying and intrusive as everything else that we've seen from these folks this whole season. And like, it was the unbelievable cherry on top of this unbelievable fucking cake.
Yeah.
And it was real uncomfortable for yours truly.
Yeah. I just can't believe. I mean, it makes it seem like Mike and Holly just didn't talk at all as soon as the show was over. And so, I
mean, they didn't talk at all before the show, it sounds like. I mean, this represents, I think, like the reason I think that it moves more towards the fake, the needle moves more towards the fake side of the spectrum is like, this would represent a truly unimaginable depth of cruelty to like, not only like not tell your ex-fiance, or I guess that's not part of the equation, but making them find out on fucking national television that they just got engaged earlier this week after you were on this season of a television show with them where like it looked like you were about to rekindle your relationship, to make them find out in front of a live fucking studio audience, an audience of millions, represents, I think, an unimaginable amount of cruelty that I don't think these two people actually have. I pray to God.
Yeah. And I mean, from what I understand, they're still married.
They're still together.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it worked.
They are, because I got on your Instagram and there are pictures of them at a baseball game.
Oh, well, that's nice.
It must have been that one baseball game that all the Bachelor people went to.
Yeah. Okay. So the other thing we find out, Michelle, who had mentioned that her dad had stage 4 cancer, since the show finished taping, he has passed away. And Michelle,
like a few weeks before they started filming.
And Michelle and Graham have really been close throughout that, and Graham's been a real help to her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really super, very sad. She looks very upset while she's up there, and her and Graham like dated for a while after the show, right? I think I remember her talking about that on Bachelor in Paradise.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember, because she ended up with Cody from Bachelor in Paradise, and that didn't work out either. Oh, Michelle money.
So at this point, both couples kind of plead their cases. They answer some questions.
We skipped all that
from the other contestants.
We skipped all that because we were going to watch some of it, and then fucking Justin, the Rated R Superstar reality star, was the first one to ask questions, and we were like, nope, and skipped like 20 minutes.
So now it's time to vote. So Jake votes for Holly and Mike, as does Blake.
Yeah, Blake's like, big shock here.
Yeah.
Blake wants some of that money, I think, a little bit.
As does Erica, Jackie, Ames, Justin, Ella, and Gia.
Which is enough. I think it was like the final vote was like 8-4, and they didn't get through everybody, but 8 was the money number.
Michelle and Graham only get Vienna, Casey, Melissa, and Will.
Of course, Vienna and Casey don't vote for Holly and Mike because they jilted them at the altar there at the end.
So now it comes down to share versus keep, which we've talked about.
Yeah, it's the prisoner's dilemma. If you both keep, then everybody else gets the money. If one of you keeps and one of you shares, the one who keeps the money. If you share, you split it. So both of you get 125 G's.
Holly says share. And then Michael kind of says, well, I did just find out you're engaged, and that hurt a lot. But you'll always be my teammate, so I'm also going to choose share.
And so they split it. Everybody celebrates. And then we get the big reveal of the next season of The Bachelor.
With Ben.
With Ben Flajanic, the first season I ever watched. Like, this was the moment where kind of my timeline, I like Benjamin Button caught up in the middle at The Bachelor at this point. And watching his season preview really reminded me what a big old goobus that dude was.
Yeah, he looked real, like, young to me.
He's a young baby, and he looks so sweet on the season that he was on. Ashley, I guess, this season, which is surprising me because he was just such a huge old
He's a hound dog.
Gooby brother.
Yeah.
That was Bachelor Pad Season 2. We watched so much of it very quickly. Next week
is The Bachelorette.
Big announcement that we need to talk about. And this may be a bummer for some folks, but hang on. For a bit on a probationary trial period, we're going to be bumping our episodes back a day. We're going to be coming out on Wednesdays, not Tuesdays. You're going to have to sit on what you thought of The Bachelorette for an extra day. There's a few reasons for that, but ultimately, like, the biggest one is we have a newborn baby, and it is it's too hard for us right now to sort of watch this show and then immediately go.
Yeah. So, for example, the premiere is not airing, as I understand it, until 8 Central on Monday night. And most likely it will be 2 hours. So we will watch 2 hours and then potentially at 10 o'clock at night have to begin recording our hour podcast, which just doesn't make sense for us right now.
And I get that this sucks. Like, I get, obviously we want to be as timely with it as is possible. And I know there's like folks that like having us reliably, doing a show coming out on Tuesday, but like, here's the truth. This last season that we watched, not Bachelor in Paradise, but I guess Bachelor with, oh my God, who is the fucking, Nick. It started to get less fun. Like, it started to get less fun for me to watch the show because I was stressing we'd have to race home from wherever we were. Or even if we recorded at home, it was still stressful because we had to like just rush to get this show done.
Yeah, we'd record and then sometimes right when we'd finish, Henry would wake up.
Or just like knowing that Henry could wake up and hey, straight up, let's talk about this. Henry woke up in the middle of this episode and we had to stop, and he was really, really upset for a while. And I've got my phone on with like my Nest Cam open, like making sure he's sleeping through this so we don't like. It's really stressful, and having a non-existent margin of error is just like, it makes this process of watching the show and making the podcast not fun. And I think it shows, right? Like, I think I can tell the episodes listening back, like, boy howdy, were we fucking stressed trying to get this thing down to the wire. So Wednesdays is the plan. It gives us an extra day to like figure out our recording.
Yeah,
and
at least for the first few weeks, we'll see how it goes. And then we may go back to our original schedule. I don't know. We'll see.
But that's kind of the way it's got to be for a while. And honestly, like, I'm excited about this because like I like just having a day to just watch it and enjoy it and do what we do. Now, I will say I'll probably be sober for all the recordings, and that may be different for folks. Maybe I can have like a little drinky drink on recording days. That would be 2 days in a row, and my calorie counting app is not going to be so psyched about that. But please bear with us. It's, we recognize that we needed to do something because
it will also give us time. Griffin and I have talked more this season, especially about trying to read some criticism of the show and kind of incorporate it.
Yeah, trying to open ourselves up to like different ways of looking at the show, and like sort of, especially like it's our first like person of color as the Bachelor or Bachelorette, and I think that's important. And like, I don't know, it would be cool to sort of incorporate some other viewpoints written by people with different perspectives than us, and like people who are smarter than us, basically. Yeah. And so like, that'll give us a little bit more of an opportunity to do that also. But like, I want to enjoy watching this show again, because I feel like my relationship with the show has changed since we started doing the podcast. And maybe that's because like we've had to be more critical of it, but I also think part of it is just like it was turning into a very, very stressful job there, where just my Monday nights were just sort of
yeah, we'd be up until like 11 o'clock at night. Or later,
or sometimes we would be a day late and we'd have to stress about that because just like we couldn't get it done.
Yeah.
So Wednesday mornings, we'll have it for you, and we hope you enjoy it. I'm excited. I'm fucking stoked out of my mind. The boys get announced on Wednesday. We get the cast profiles. So sorry we couldn't do a season preview. That was ABC's fault. But we're really excited for Rachel. I think she's gonna fucking kick ass, and I just hope the boys don't embarrass everybody too much. Thank you for listening. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you.
It means a lot. We're excited I'm hungry for this new season. This other stuff we've been doing has been fun, but like, I want some meat, I want a meaty season.
Mm-hmm, me too.
Go to MaximumFun.org. Check out all the shows there. We're proud members of the Max Fun Network. There's shows like Tights and Fights and
Pop Rocket
and the Beef and Dairy Network and One Bad Mother and Lady to Lady. There's some really great shows, all at MaximumFun.org. You can find the other stuff that we do at McElroyShows.com. Anything else?
Nope.
If you're coming to the Mabim Bam or Adventure Zone live shows in Austin this week, say hi. We should be there. I don't know.
Griffin will be there.
I'll be there because I have to. And Rachel will be there at least one of the nights.
Maybe.
The problem is we actually live here and our baby's here, and so we can't just like bail. All right. Next time we talk to you, we will have watched the first episode of Bachelorette. I'm excited. It's like Christmas Eve. Until next time, I'm Griffin McElroy.
I'm Rachel McElroy.
When you're ready.
Final Roze. Stay with us on this journey of joy.
Spoiler alert.
She ends up with Soulja Boy.
Right reasons, right reasons. Can't get up for all 4 seasons.
From the dawn of time, one podcast has unlocked the secrets of science and technology to enrich the lives of billions. And now, after a year where they've unlocked the golden age of knowledge, they're about to hit warp speed and go stratospheric.
Wait, hold up.
On Oh No, Ross and Carrie, we don't make extraordinary claims, we investigate them.
We go undercover with fringe religious groups, investigate paranormal claims, and we participate in pseudoscientific medical treatments and then report our findings to you.
And yes, we've even investigated Scientology.
Shh, Ross, shh. New episodes every month at MaximumFun.org.
Oh No, Ross and Carrie. They show up so you don't have to.
MaximumFun.org.
Comedy and culture. Artist owned.
Listener supported.